That's on them too low. Brothers, if you don't have a bad back, you come up and sit up. So if you got a bad back, you can sit against the wall. You got a bad back. If you're old, but for young folk, and if you need a chair, you want to sit in a chair. You need a chair. Sit in a line like the angels sit. It's more power. And then so when the people come in, they won't be walking in front of you either, unless it's crowded. Alhamdulillah. Thank you. Alhamdulillah alladhi anzala ala abdihi al-kitab wa ahlam lahu iwajh aqmadu subhanahu wa ta'ala wa ashhu hamdi wa thana wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu rasuluhu wa mustafa. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala rabbika rasulika Muhammadin wa ahlihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah bil alameen. We thank Allah Almighty for this opportunity, because we need to know just what is the purpose of ourselves, that we would be one of the sperm cells that hit the egg of our mother. To be here and to do that, Allah Almighty had to have a purpose for us. Allah Almighty had to direct us. Allah Almighty had a plan for us. And here we are in these times. Why are we still here and many others that we know have left and gone? Well, during the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, there was a war. And from that war, it started a whole reality of disobedience to Allah and His Apostle. Allah Almighty had sent the Prophet, peace be upon him, 600 years after Isa ibn Maryam, Jesus Christ, because the people had fallen in darkness and fallen to the clutches of the egos, and so the decadence and the darkness permeated the land, and no one was able to know their Lord because Shaitan had blocked their way to Allah. We may not think that that is very, very serious, but as we begin to look at history and how history has unfolded, we're going to see the importance of ourselves to take seriously our lives and this time that we have. Because we've played long enough. We've gone to so many games long enough, and things are changing before our very eyes. When the Prophet had one of the wars of Uqad, the Sahabas saw that they were winning the war, and they left their posts. And they were chasing the spoils of war. In other words, they were chasing dunya. The Prophet had been sent to them to bring them to the high life, to bring them to their Lord, and they left their Lord for the world. And since that time, generation after generation after generation, we are leaving our Lord, running to the spoils of war, or running to the booty of the world, running to dunya, running to material things. And no one is able to take it with them when they leave here. We know many, many we call superstars of famous people, have gathered so much wealth and affluence, but when they leave here, they leave in a box, just in a box by themselves. They cannot take one penny with them. They cannot use anything of this world in the next world. None of our leaders, modern day leaders, from east to west, have invited us to Allah Almighty. They invite us to this world. They invite us to the good life, which is cars, a house, a picket fence, and traveling and money. And yet, when we leave, we cannot take anything with us. something that we're not getting, that we have to get. During the time of Sulaiman alayhi salam, Sulaiman was one of the prophets of Allah Almighty, and Allah gave him everything. He controlled the wind, he controlled the jinn, he controlled the birds, he controlled all the animals, he controlled men, he controlled everything. He controlled Shaitan. This was all at his command. And whenever he walked and sat on his throne used to rise. That meant that he had dominion over everything. From east to west to north to south. He, through the power of Allah Almighty, ruled over all the nations. And so one day he had one of his birds, they call it a hoopy bird, and this bird was missing, and Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam was saying, where is this bird? If this bird does not have a good excuse for being absent when I'm calling him, then I'm going to finish this bird. The bird returned to Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam and said that there is a kingdom, that there is a queen on a throne that's ruling, but she's worshiping the sun. And her people are on the wrong way. And so someone, one of the jinn, who was sitting beside him, one of the afrit, one of the strong jinn, that means a strong jinn, said, I will get her throne by the time you can stand up from this table. One who had knowledge of scriptural language, one that had internalized, one that was connected to his Lord, and he was not a prophet of Allah Almighty, but he was one who committed and submitted his will totally to Allah Almighty. He said, I can get it in a twinkling of an eye. Sulaiman alayhi salam had sent the letter to Bilqis, and he was saying to her, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. We are inviting you to Islam, to submission to the will of Allah Almighty, the only God, only worship, only worthy of worship. If you accept this, you will keep your throne. If you reject this, we will destroy you. We will take your throne. She, being a wise woman, first she counseled with her counsel, and she felt among her counsel that they wanted to fight him. So what she did was, she said, no, wait. She was a wise person. She sent him gifts. She sent some of her people, her soldiers, with gifts. And also they were to spy on his army, the military. And when they got there, when they saw his army, he wasn't no joke. He had lions and he had tigers. He had jinn, he had men, he had birds, all lined up in ranks at his command. When Allah Almighty say, I want to make you a viceroy, I want you to represent me, Allah means that. When he created Adam alayhi salam, and he said, I'm making you to be my Khalifa. And Shaitan could not be his Khalifa because Shaitan does not have knowledge of the unseen. He is a jinn. The jinn